Hello, this is Dr. Janet Hall, and I'm a clinical psychologist and hypnotherapist of over 32 years now, working in Melbourne, Australia. And one of the issues that's really concerning to me is people who come to me with a history of sexual abuse. And some of these people have never told anybody. Sexual abuse can be really traumatic for a child. A child feels very helpless. And even for some people who've actually tried to tell either their mother, sadly it's often their father or brother who has been the perpetrator. And for some people they've tried to tell a teacher at school, and adults sometimes just don't want to know. And so it's just so heartbreaking to think that somebody has grown up holding on to this terrible, bad secret. For some of them, they take on the badness. They actually think, I must have had something, fatally wrong with me, that I was the victim of sexual abuse, and they carry that into their adulthood. Some people become promiscuous and act out their sexuality in a very, self-hurtful way. Others become actually kind of sexually frozen, where they just don't give themselves permission to become, sexually confident and sexually awakened. It's not just women, I've worked with quite a few young men and even older men who have never told the history of their sexual abuse. And there is something so healing in being able to express the pain that you went through and the upset that you've been holding on to all these years to somebody that you can trust. I remember one girl who was sexually abused from the age of 7 to the age of 15 by an older brother. And when she told her mother said, "Oh, look, we always knew there was something wrong with him, but because that brother had committed suicide at the age of 16, and you know how he did it? He drank rat poison. So maybe he had some inner hatred of himself, knowing what he had done. Or maybe he was just running scared that one day he would be found out. But it wasn't good enough that he had died. My client needed her loving mother to be loving and kind and give her a hug and tell her that it wasn't her fault." I worked with a man who had been basically seduced on the street by an older man. My young man was about 11, he said, and this man basically did, the age-old con. Come back to my house because I've got some really good records of, something new. Maybe it was the Beatles in those days. And the young man very foolishly but innocently followed the older man home, and once he actually closed the front door, the older man grabbed him and bashed him and very roughly raped him. Now, I've been told by a homosexual man that it's so difficult to be able to get the police to have any sympathy or compassion if you're gay. But I think that in this case, where the man was heterosexual, it may have been even worse for him to have been brutally raped and assaulted, so far that he could barely walk home, and he was so embarrassed and so traumatized by it that he never told anybody else except me when he came to see me for counselling. His wife was not very interested in having sex, and he had been using sex as what I call a soother. Some people who feel very upset about their sexuality will be far too intensely involved in sex, because for them it's like a baby sucking a dummy, and it's really unhealthy. So if you or somebody that you know, and especially if it's somebody that you love, has been sexually abused, please tell them that they must seek out therapy. Don't hold on to it, don't lock it in, and certainly don't blame yourself. Everybody deserves to feel that they're sexually safe and that they can be protected, and that their concerns will be listened to, and if necessary the abuser will be taken to trial and to court. However, sometimes that's not worth it because the legal system really doesn't support, and that's another story that I'd like to tell you about in the future. But meanwhile, please feel free to contact me. You can call me in Melbourne, Australia on 61 3 9419 3010, or just email me jan@drjanethall.com.au, and if you would like your anonymity protected, we can make sure that that will happen and nobody else needs to know, but you will be able to have your story told, and I promise you that you'll feel a lot better once you've been heard. So, all the very best to you, and know that I have nothing but compassion in my heart for you. Thank you.